אני מתכבדת להזמין לבמה את משתתפי פאנל ההשקעות בהנחיית צחי ליברמן, COO וראש הסטודיו באלוי. אל צחי הצטרפו דניאל מירונוב, שותף בקרן VGames, אורי לידרסקי, מייסד שותף ומנכ"ל Heimdall Games, אלמוג שמואלי, מנכ"ל TriArts, דיאנה מולדבסקי, מנהלת השקעות ושותפויות אסטרטגיות בטנסנט, ואסי בורק, מנהל העסקים הראשי בטילטינג פוינט וחבר ההנהלה ב-Games for Change. יחד הם ידברו על גיוס השקעות, עבודה מול משקיעים והאתגרים של סטודיואים בשוק של היום. I am honored to invite the participants for our investment panel to the stage, moderated by Tsahi Liberman, COO and studio head of Alloi. Joining him are Daniel Mironov, partner at VGames, Ori Lidarski, co-founder and COO of Heimdall Games, Almog Shmueli, COO of TriArts, Diana Moldavsky, Director of Investments and Strategic Partnerships at Tencent, and Asi Burak, Chief Business Officer at Tilting Point and board member at Games for Change. Together, they will discuss raising investment, working with investors, and the challenges that game studios face in today's market.
Yeah. How's everyone? Are we awake? Are we awake after the mobile conversation early on? Good to see you all. It's great to be here, and we'll jump right in because we have quite a short of time. So let's start with very quick questions. Guys, it's the 20th anniversary of GameIS, and we are in Israel. Welcome everybody from abroad. As Israelis, we punch way above our weight in technology and games. But the games ecosystem here is smaller, at least smaller than other countries. Is Israel even a good place to build and raise a game studio right now? What's our pros and cons as Israelis and as an industry, and where should we improve?
Okay, I'll go mobile. Because Tilting Point, we're doing mobile first. So I'll be very positive. I think Israel is actually, along the years, is a mobile leader in free-to-play. You know, from Playtika to Moonactive, Superplay. A lot of those I saw very early when they came out. And I think Israel is actually a great place to do it because you have an ecosystem of investors. You have a strong community. And you have also a lot of mentorship from the people who made it, and a lot of spin-offs from companies that are successful. In many ways, it reminds me of Turkey. I think Israel and Turkey are hotspots of mobile development.
100% support the thought. I think the entrepreneurship here in Israel, in games, but also in other industries, is very, very strong. I think Israeli founders are not afraid of competition, which is very important both in mobile and on any platform that they're building for. I think that the past few years we saw companies showing very strong growth, both from smaller ones and bigger ones. And in terms of, I don't see any cons here, and you're absolutely right, we're punching way above our weight. I think some of our founders are very passionate about what they're building and sometimes falling in love with their own products. And sometimes it's worth kind of like to give up, switch to the next one, and keep building what's working and not necessarily what they actually want to build.
I don't have a lot of new things to add on what they already said. I think the biggest thing that Israel thrives in is our chutzpah, is the execution the Israeli founders have. And I don't think there is any other place or a lot of places that have the same thing like we do here. So,
yeah, I will address more of the PC side. And I think that Israel is good as any other place, and it's a matter of belief of what you do. And I think it's a great time to see more and more PC studios in Israel, such as our studios and Tsahi. And above that, I don't have any other things to add that the rest of the guys already said.
I've been coming to Israel and spending time on the Israeli market for many years. I was actually at this conference many years ago. I've always been a big believer in Israeli gaming ecosystem, Israeli founders. I think that it's, on one hand, the entrepreneurial nature of the people here. Also, you know, lately I've been spending more time on mobile, and particularly casual mobile. And like I say, I believe this is one of the top, let's say, top 4, top 5 casual mobile development places in the world. So I'm super excited and still super bullish on this market and the people here, and super happy to be back here. And if you think about everything that's been happening here, we were just talking earlier before the start of the panel that, you know, if the founders and the teams here have been able to continue building, continue being successful in growing their games during the last 3 years of everything, all the hardships that the people have been facing here, and still being successful, then I have no doubt that there is a bright future here because of the hard work, the resilience, the tenacity of the founders and the teams here.
Thank you. Let's switch to the favorite subject. Let's speak about money, right? Because that's what everybody actually wants to understand here. So everybody's saying in the industry that we see VCs abandon games. They invest in AI, they invest in technology, but if we look on the last couple of months only, Danny, your fund just started a new fund for $10 million for indie games. If we look on Griffin, they started a $100 million fund. Blue Ocean, 30 million. Google is doing now a non-dilutive money in Africa. That's a whole lot of new money. But when you look on the conditions, on the terms, almost none of it is classic VC. It's rev share, it's project financing, it's studios keeping their IPs, which is great for studios and for games. So let's start with you, Danny. What made you guys start and dedicate a fund to indies, and what stopped working previously, if anything?
Sure. So we opened our indie fund as an extension of our global and gaming strategy. So we're still investing from our equity fund that we raised a year and a half ago. We're investing from our growth fund that we announced a couple of months ago. And in addition to that, we announced our indie fund because we want to work with exceptional founders across all platforms. Doesn't matter what they're building for, we want to work with them. So it's not instead, it's in addition. And I think that we see similar vehicles coming from other funds in the world. VCs are also adapting to the reality. They're becoming much more selective. They're trying to adapt their funding strategy to what they're seeing out there in the market. PC and console games are becoming more interesting. We're seeing a lot of success stories coming from smaller teams. The development cost collapsed for such teams as well, and obviously investors are noticing that and adapting their strategy to support such teams and obviously capitalize on their success. So I think the gaming industry is much more selective now, but it's still very healthy, and investors are noticing and adapting their approach to that.
Diana, you're next.
Well, I'm not a VC, right? But you know, we as a strategic have been very active. We still have very strong appetite. We haven't disappeared. Actually, it's been busier than ever lately. So on our end, it's kind of business as usual, and we're always looking for amazing entrepreneurs, amazing passionate gaming founders who are working on great games, who are making some innovation, and especially, as I mentioned earlier, like the casual mobile founders. So we're here looking for the right teams to partner with and support long term. And also, as we talk to different companies, we see a lot of VCs still being active, and we see VCs kind of making bets on some amazing companies. Again, also more so, I think, in casual mobile and mobile lately. But yeah, I would say, I wouldn't say that it's everything disappeared and everybody stopped. I'm actually seeing a lot of activity going on in the market. It just maybe things changed a bit, and maybe it's more focused on casual mobile versus PC console in terms of money available. And also, I think overall, what the, let's say, investors broadly overall looking for, the bar keeps going up. So it's not that there are no money, there are money, it's just that it has to be great in terms of who is getting the money. It's not just, you know, you just stand there, you say you make games and you get money. So just being more selective and having a higher bar. But I still think there is interest from investors overall to invest in gaming.
I see your take on that.
So again, I'll focus on mobile. Just by context, Tilting Point has been one of the first, maybe the first to offer a user acquisition investment. And we announced our third fund of $150 million last year. And you know, I see the market going in that direction. What is that direction? That direction is risk mitigation. So rather than making bets, I think that what happens in the market is that it's much harder to penetrate, much harder to launch new games. The old games are dominating. As a result, the investors are doing risk mitigation. They're becoming more sophisticated. And for example, when we do user acquisition investment, rather than what we did in 21, which was to identify a diamond in the rough that is that small and is going to be a meteor, today we look at things and we're saying, okay, show us 6 months of user acquisition that is at scale, and we'll take it to the next stage. But we're not going to come very early like in the past. So I think that it's risk mitigation, sophistication, saturation, and investors being not only more selective, but also more nuanced in how they look at investments, also in terms of the business terms.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. And I love what you mentioned, Diana, about the team, because the team is highly important when you are selecting to invest in not just a game, but the human capital. And we have that in abundance in Israel. So a question to Ori and Almog as founders. What did raising actually feel like, right? It's when you go to VCs or investors or publishers, for them it's always, you know, LTV, retention curves, how many wish lists you have before they can even write a check, right? And Danny's smiling here. But this is always a chicken and egg problem, right? So how did you mitigate that? How do you deal with that?
So yeah, it's definitely a chicken and egg problem, and you will hear this a lot during your journey. But at the end of the day, you always need only this one yes that starts the snowball rolling. But at the end of the day, I think when you start the thing, you need to know that you've built the right team. You need to have amazing founder to market fit. And then you need to know that what you've selected to do, as Daniel said before, you need to know that you can make it pretty cheap, easily, compared to what we were used to doing. And for us, personally, what was working is to try and create the smallest loop possible and try and show how that works. We created like a 10-minute version of our game, and we started testing it on what we were referring to as our target audience. And although it was only like 15 minutes that were fun there, that we like to play it for 15 minutes, we suddenly noticed our audience playing it for 3-4 hours. And this was like the conviction that we could have created. And it was in a matter of weeks. So I think it's, everyone needs to find how they can make those kind of wins very easily and very fast.
For us, I feel that it was a bit different because we chose to prove ourselves first. We chose to actually do the steps that we need to do to stand out and create an impressive demo with no funding at all. So we pushed it for 2 years. And after that, to be honest, I think it was quite easy because the product stood out, the marketing stood out, and it brought the attention that we needed. So we kind of skipped the part of the chicken and the egg and went straight forward to building whatever it takes, and it's proved itself.
Yeah, that's another thing. You said 2 years. That's huge in determination. That shows that you strive against all odds and you make it, and you made it. Yeah. So congratulations for getting the funding.
Thank you.
And we need to see more teams like that in Israel. I'll mention a game name. So who's here played Mecha Chameleon or heard about it? Yes, okay, great. So Mecha Chameleon is a phenomenon, right? It's like two guys in Japan. They worked on that for a couple of months. They reuse assets from the old Fortnite maps. They didn't do any, marketing spend. Sold 15 million copies. It's a co-op party game, super impressive. In my mind, it's the best-selling game of the year so far. In the same month, we just heard, a couple of days ago, Xbox cuts over 3,000 people, closed 4 studios, very successful studios. Yes, they were, drawing blood for so many years as Xbox. The big machine is bleeding, right? But those two guys with no budget at all managed to print some money. So what does that tell you about what is worth funding? And honestly, would any of you VCs here would write the check if they come to you with like, hey, that's what we're doing? You probably need more data, I guess, but it's like Danny and Asi and Diana, please go.
Well, I can start with, it just shows, like the examples you gave, just shows that nowadays, what's key is what value can a person or a small group of people create. And if you can create amazing value as a small, it can be a solopreneur, solo founder, it can be just a very small group. And we see more and more lately, like very small group, very small teams that are creating very quickly amazing games, which years ago you couldn't even imagine that. But I think now, especially with being able to use AI and implement AI in game development process, we will see more and more small teams being able to achieve great results. So as long as there is value created together with AI, then this will be going on. And I think more and more investors will be open to look at teams, like smaller teams. And actually, I think the smaller the team, the less money they will need also, potentially. But anyways, it also shows that, if people are not creating value, then they might lose their jobs, because companies are also, like large companies are also implementing AI, and they have to see who still is valuable to them. So of course it's very sad to see people losing jobs in our industry, but I think the talented people that are losing their jobs will actually go and create their own small teams and create like new studios, and like we will see more opportunities to invest, hopefully. So as an optimist, I see some potential future opportunities coming from each layoff, because they experience the smart team members. Maybe they'll get together with some of former colleagues and they will create some new formations, some exciting games that hopefully then, like those of us here that are investors, can support.
Danny.
Look, I think we're living in a different world right now. Smaller teams can ship amazing games, good games, and also commercial success. That wasn't the case 3 years, 4 years ago. I don't think that being a big company is an advantage unless you have a very strong IP. Also, smaller teams can take a lot more risks now. And we see this is happening across all platforms. Mobile, PC, console, doesn't matter. Smaller teams can be much more bold now, and I think that's what giving them the edge. Mecha Chameleon is an amazing example. Obviously, there are certain buys that were looking only at the winners. There are a lot that were not as successful. But what's beautiful about the gaming industry, that from time to time we're seeing such amazing stories, multiple times a year, and that's what keeps us in this industry and very excited about it. I'll also remind that we are investing in people in the end. So a game is obviously important, but who's actually behind this game is more critical, because the game is just an episode of a live company. There will be another one and another one. What's consistent is the team, and we're investing in strong teams.
Asi, you want to add a couple of words before we finish?
Quickly, I would say the bad news, as we said before, tougher than ever to launch and penetrate and get discovered. The good news, it's never been so easy for a small team to make something amazing, test it, launch it, fail or succeed, launch another thing. AI is making things much easier today, and they will make it even easier. And in that sense, I would recommend people postpone as much as you can, maybe you won't like it, getting money, prove it, and go when you're very strong and you have a very good, and you'll keep your equity in a much better way this way.
Thank you. Do we have more time? Because I see that we are out, but we actually started later on, so I'll just steal another question. So let's close this round with like a 1 or 2 sentences. So someone here in the crowd is raising in the next 12 months, is building his indie game, indie studio, maybe they are a solid developer, like, you know, Loop Hero, Baltaro, whatever. What, you know, name one thing they should, you know, start doing and one thing they need to stop doing. Who wants to be first?
I'll go. I think for the founders that are going to fundraise or first focus on build, keep being hungry. Nothing should stop you from building. You have capital, you don't have capital. If this is your passion, do it. And also come to the conversations with investors, whatever publishers, when you have something in your hands. There's no reason not to have with all the tools that are available today. And don't look at anyone else. In the end, it's a winner takes most economy. Focus on yourself and be very passionate about what you're doing. I think that will bring you to the success.
Yeah, I think Daniel stole what I wanted to say, but it's start building, start experimenting, do things wrong. There is nothing better than that. And the second perspective is start having conversations, because I don't think a relationship with a VC or investor is one-off. It doesn't happen in one go. You need to create this relationship. They need to know you. They need to know what you're building, how you're operating, because as Daniel said, it's investing in the team. Make them know that you're the right team for that.
Focus on your product and innovating on product side. And of course, if it's mobile, then the metrics, because that's what the investors will look at, besides, of course, the people. In terms of what not to do, I think don't focus too much on valuation when you're raising. Focus on also the people that you're going to work with long term. It's a long-term partnership. So who you raise from really matters. And so think more long term versus where can you get an extra few million in valuation.
Yeah, on top of all the amazing answers everybody gave, I want to add that it's better to show yourself very early. It's not actually about marketing, it's more about community. Build your community around your game. It makes the way much easier. Show yourself early. That's it.
Yeah, I wanna add one of my own, and I'm really supporting what Almog has said. Community is the most important thing that we have. We are the servants, in a way, of the community. They are our end customers. So network, show your game very early on, get feedbacks. As we say in Israel, shave, להתגלח, show that to publishers, even small publishers. Get the feedbacks, they have the data, learn from that, and do that over and over again. Create relationships with other developers and other studios. Go to conferences abroad, learn about the industry. And that way, this is a faster way to get to that first investor that said, hey, we met at Gamescom last year, I loved what you're doing. Let's sit for a cup of coffee and speak about it. But yeah, put it out there. Nobody will steal your idea. Just show it very early on and improve the quality by listening to the community. So thank you all for that fantastic panel. And hopefully we'll see more investment and more studios coming in.